This is Eric Landman with Landman Interactive. Today we're going to talk about creating a custom home page in Magento. Things we're going to cover are design and coding concepts, identifying the parts of a Magento home page, decisions about which parts to allow, updating, and we're going to then talk specifically about how the home page is built. Some of the things you need to know is that every home page in Magento is a custom home page, and you may get some instructions from a template, but they may or may not make sense. If you do your original design, you're kind of on your own. You've got to understand how this works. And the homepage will consist of many different pieces scattered throughout the Magento system, including the base template and your custom theme, possibly commercial add-ons. In this case, we're going to be showing you a slider, and probably CMS blocks and layout block updates done in the administration area. This is the page we're going to be building. It's a fairly complicated page with lots of activity going on. It's got a top nav, a secondary nav, category bar, slider, then several CMS blocks, and some jQuery tooltips. In Magento parlance, the page is built from structural blocks, and into those structural blocks are poured content blocks. This is a schematic from Magento documentation that shows an interior page. For the home page, it's a little different. This is what the structural blocks look like to construct this page. Basically, we have a header, top nav, content, and footer, and those are broken into HTML blocks. Some of the blocks we're going to be talking about are header links, which is a hand-coded block that doesn't change. We have a slider called the lookbook slider from Ultima. It's a commercial module. Then we have 3 CMS blocks that comprise the bottom part of the page, and we have a footer links CMS block. We also have tooltips that are called by AJAX calls. So part of the decision process is we need to decide how much control we're going to give the administrator. What are they going to want to change, and how often are they going to update it, and also what is the process? Are they going to have a content staging? Is this on Enterprise Edition, or is this with Community Edition? In this case, we're on Community Edition, and we do want specific access to allow changes to the slider, especially some CMS blocks. We're not going to allow any changes to tooltips or other pieces of the page. So when we take a look at the result of those decisions, this is what we find. The pink is non-editable, and the green is editable or able to be controlled by the admin. So we're going to jump right into talk about how to build this page. The CMS page itself starts with a layout. In this case, it's a one-column layout. This is the structural layout we're talking about. And then the content of the page, we've got a little bit of jQuery that talks about building the tooltip, and then we are calling a custom output template, which is down in the Magento directories. In this case, it's called lookslidehome.phml. That's something we have actually created special for the home page. That's found way down in there, so that line of XML at the top there calls that lowest file in the green there, lookslidehome. It's in our custom design directory. In that file itself, it's actually not really doing too much. It's calling those 3 CMS blocks at the bottom of the page. And this is a result of our design decisions. Now, you could have done it differently. In Magento, there's usually several ways to accomplish this. So this might be a part of something you'd see if you were to do this, where you don't want it to be modified through the admin area. The CMS blocks then, there are 3 of them that are at the bottom of the page. They look like this in the back end. So this is editable by the administrator. This top part of the CMS block is a little bit of HTML code and a little class that calls the tooltip with a headline shop design boards. Then below it, toward the bottom, is actually the area they would change, the home content class block there. A little bit of CSS to style it so they don't have to fool around with or attempt, or maybe we could say mess up, the styling of the page. And that's what it looks like when it's all done. So it's pretty easy for them to modify just the copy in that little block there with minimal instruction. The slider in this case, in this particular site, is a kind of a unique slider. It's got product hotspots. Those little plus signs are hotspots where you can click on them and you can be taken directly to a product page. This is completely controlled through the admin area. Well, almost completely controlled. There are some jQuery slider settings that you cannot get at through here that are controlled through by the developer. But you can control things like the position and the name of it, which is just an administrator name, whether it's enabled or not. You also can assign it to a specific CMS page, which is a very nice feature of this particular module. Not all sliders are like that. This one is, however. And then you manage the individual slides. You can add as many as you want. Looks like this in the admin area. And an individual slide looks like this. You add the hotspot by clicking on the image, and up pops this modal dialog where you can select a particular SKU and drag around the little hotspot plus sign wherever you want it to go. So that's very nice. So now you might consider, well, okay, to troubleshoot this thing, well, what can go wrong? What happens? Well, this particular slider and the tooltips especially are controlled through jQuery, and it's a rather well-known conflict that jQuery conflicts with prototype because they both try to use the same object to modify, and one or the other is going to get whacked. So you have to know how to resolve those conflicts. Another is, well, maybe the administrator isn't as trained as you thought they were, and they enter some invalid HTML and some things go badly wrong. A developer problem could be the XML is wrong or invalid, and if that's the case, it just doesn't work, and it's a little hard to troubleshoot that. Somebody could mess with the CSS. That would screw things up big time, or they could modify the HTML in the CMS block. That would mess it up also. If they don't follow the process to copy from the dev site to the live site in a non-staging environment, that of course would create a bit of havoc. And if a developer doesn't understand the design fallback principles, if they put files in the wrong places, things won't be loaded properly. So the usual troubleshooting tools are available in Magento. You can turn on these little red areas, which are called template hints, which tell you exactly which HTML content block is being loaded, so you can tell immediately whether your modifications are being loaded or not. Also, we use a really fantastic Magento extension called Commerce Bug by Alan Storm. It puts a little debug link in the upper left corner. If you click it, and this panel opens up, and you can get lots of good front-end layout information, including especially the layout handle name, the action name, where this particular page is loading from. And there's lots of mysteries to the Magento XML, the layout XML system. So this particular module helps you kind of find your way through the maze of that stuff. In this case, we're loading CMS index, and that correlates directly to an XML file in the directory structure. So that helps you greatly trying to figure out what's going on and control what's going on. Some things we do for our users is that we will do a video documentation of both the front end and the back end operations. We do site status updates, and we also do tutorials for the administrator, and we also do a content administrator's guide, so they and we can refer to the same terms. We're all talking about the same thing. It's a complicated system, so that helps quite a bit to know about terminology. So for resources, here are some resources we found to be pretty helpful. The Magento Design Guide is a little dated, but the concepts are all good in there. Also other pages on the Magento Commerce site. If you're using jQuery at all, the Novice to Ninja book is fantastic. It's from SitePoint. It's a commercial product, but it's cheap. CommerceBug is the module we talked about that points out XML information. There's also a really good article on SitePoint, great resource, and also MageBase. The lookbook slider from Ultima is listed there. And the site that we've been talking about, if you want to actually see it live and running, it's under shopsilvernest.com. So that's my presentation walkthrough of creating a custom home page in Magento. My name, again, is Eric Landman with Landman Interactive. I'm a Magento developer. Thanks very much.